30 seconds left.
Your duty is not over!
Yo!
Fix your crosshair, says all the people with worse KD than me.
Did your mom make your crosshair, dude?
Yo, Gluten, that crosshair is huge. Respect.
Enemy spotted.
Can you see with that thing in your face?
Dude, Gluten, with a crosshair that big, how are you missing?
Yo, gluten free, what the hell is your crosshair? Yo, gluten, oh wait, why do you have that crosshair?
I like it.
That is a one chunky
I'm the last
crosshair,
thing they'll
buddy.
see before they die.
It's pretty slim and slender.
One enemy remaining.
Damn, gluten.
Don't knock the crosshair. What you just saw is only a fraction of the amount of comments I've gotten thus far in Valorant, but I didn't want to make the opening too long, and I think you get the idea. Alright, so let's talk about crosshairs. According to Wikipedia, crosshairs are most commonly represented as intersecting lines in the shape of a cross, though many variations exist, including dots, posts, circles, scales, chevrons, or a combination of these. The traditional thin crossing lines are the original and still the most familiar crosshair shape. While the traditional thin crossing lines are the original and still the most familiar crosshair shape, they are really best suited for precision aiming at high contrast targets, as the thin lines are easily lost in complex backgrounds such as those encountered while hunting. Thicker bars are much easier to discern against a complex background, but lack the precision of thin bars. So if the traditional thin lines are the original, still most familiar crosshair shape, and are best suited for precision aiming at high contrast targets and conventional shooting or target practice, why can't the same be said for crosshairs in Valorant? The crosshair I'm using in the clips at the beginning of the video has an inner line length of 18 with a thickness of 2, movement error on and firing error off. Currently I'm using an inner line length of 20 and a thickness of 1. Movement and firing error are the same, both have a center dot of equal thickness.
Taken out.
Yo, you suck balls.
One enemy remaining.
Huh?
Who's the hunter now?
Clearly, I can see my targets just fine, so what's the big deal? Personally, this is just what I prefer. It's my preference. I prefer a reticle that is actually a cross, with perpendicular converging hairlines. A crosshair. I think if you play the game long enough, you'll eventually see some pretty unique crosshairs, but I don't think mine is really that unique. Certainly not unique enough to warrant so much attention. I don't think that the shape of my crosshair puts me at any kind of disadvantage, and I think that the real issue here is along the same lines as the issue from my last video.
These are the settings that players like Shroud and Summit are using right now. I prefer cyan. I think that's what Shroud uses right now, or green. Those seem to be the two colors that most of the higher end players are using at this point. Now remember, your crosshair in general is a personal preference, but this is the style that's been working for me, and again, a lot of the top players are using this type.
Hey everyone, and welcome to SkillCap's guide on the best pro crosshair settings. In this guide, you'll learn what kind of crosshair you should be using to help increase your accuracy, as well as what crosshairs the best pro players in Valorant are using to gain an edge on the opponent. These are your favorite pro players like Hiko, Tens, Brax, Asus, Skadoodle, Sinatra, Shazam, Mixwell. You get the idea, these are the best of the best in Valorant right now.
I feel like the only people who have an adverse reaction to my crosshair are, again, the same kind of people who put way too much stock in the various entities who have their hands in gaming as an industry, as I stated in my last video. Namely kids, as evidenced by the clips at the beginning of the video. Nonetheless, people of all ages seem to use this kind of hype media as a platform to bully and normalize each other into conformity. Just because something is popular or used by professionals doesn't necessarily mean that it's your best option, and I think this is something more competent players understand, considering players rarely mention it anymore since I've reached silver and eventually gold, and when they do, it's usually positive. My advice is, if you're struggling with the amount of feedback you're getting from the community like I was, would be to follow your own intuition. Do what works for you. Carve your own path in whatever instance. Don't be afraid to be different if you have to be. Take what the peanut gallery has to say with a grain of salt if it doesn't suit you. But let me know what you think in the comments below.